Here.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here. How's everyone doing today on Terrific Thursday? And you know what that means? It is today Humanity Happy Hour, hosted by none other than our great partner and friend here, bringing humanity together, Carla Fedigan. Carla will be here shortly, so don't worry, she'll be here. But in any case, thank you so much for joining us today for Humanity Happy Hour. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues are out there that are facing people today, because it's our goal, our mission, our purpose, and I dare say our calling to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We will also have a 15-minute meet and greet from 2:45 to 3. So please invite your friends, your coworkers, your, as I say, lazy coworkers. You know, those fur babies that kind of like sit around the desk and like, hey, I need a walk, I need to go out. You know, those kind of people. But yeah, bring them too, because we will put them on the live stream too as well. And remember, as always, Share and Care with Danny Chernoff is always every Tuesday. I host Conversations for Humanity every Wednesday, and of course, Humanity Happy Hour is hosted by our great friend Carla Fedigan every Thursday. And as you jump on, whether it be on a Facebook business page or LinkedIn Live or on our YouTube channel, please feel free to comment in the chat. And if there's any questions or concerns, so you want to engage in the conversation today, or even give us any show topics or anything like that, or even want to reach out to one of us, please let us know. And we'd like to have that great and engaging conversation with you. And also let us know where you're watching from too, as well. Or even if you are watching this on the replay, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook business page or on our LinkedIn Live, please do the very same thing. Comment, reply, engage, or whatever that might be for you if you're watching this on the replay. But use the hashtag replay. We would love to have you on a one-on-one call with you guys and everything. So how are you doing today, Miss Sandy?
I'm doing well. I actually got an email from Brian.
Oh, what's the news on what, Brianisms? What's that about?
Well, I said that we really miss him on the conversations, but he said he's been really busy, and that's the reason why he hasn't been on. So once he sort of gets these jobs done, and he said it'll be a couple of weeks, then he'll come back to the conversation. So I wrote him back and I said, well, we miss you. We like your perspectives on these conversations.
Well, that's a good thing. And I called Brian and left him a message, say, hey, and you did phenomenal commenting yesterday. Say, hey, we'll take it. Any added value, we're love and everything like that. So yeah, him and Graham would they're actually 2 for 2 this week. They've been both on Share and Care and Conversations back to back. So that was amazing. I was like, thank you. Yeah, I love it.
Exactly. So yeah, because I actually connected with him on LinkedIn. We weren't connected on LinkedIn, so we now.
Nice.
And that's where he messaged me back. And I said, well, we miss you. We really like you there. I said, I didn't say I don't always agree with him, but I like his perspectives, Chris. It makes you sit back and pay attention, because he often has a very different perspective than the rest of us do. And I think it's good. I think it's very good. It makes you step back and go, oh, well, I hadn't thought of it that way. That's interesting.
Yep.
And that's fair. Yeah, it's a good thing. I like that he, has different perspectives than a lot of us do. It's good.
That is good. And you're getting ready to have Thanksgiving coming up soon, aren't you not?
Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah, well, your Thanksgiving's in November. I know that.
Yes.
I went to university in Oregon, so I lived in the States for over 3 years. Well, I did my hygiene, and then I finished my education degree and did all the coursework towards a master's in public health. So I was living in Oregon for 3 years.
Did you like living there?
Yeah, I did. I liked Oregon. Oregon's a good place. It really is. It has good government, and it has beautiful coast places. The coastline in Oregon is lovely. And one of my classmates had a home there, so I used to go visit her.
Oh,
and
nice.
When I had a job in Eugene, and I worked part-time at the job while I was finishing my education, and then I stayed there for a little while. And then when I was ready to leave, he got so used to having a hygienist because he'd never had one before me because I talked him into hiring me. Then I got one of my classmates who was staying in Eugene to work for him. So I brought her over and I said, you should work for him. He's a very nice guy. You know what his name was? Dr. Payne. That's a terrible name for a dentist. Hi, Carla.
Hey.
Hello, Miss Carla.
Terrible name for a dentist, but he was such a nice guy. He was just, really a nice guy. But terrible name for a dentist.
Dr. Payne.
Yeah, he spelled it Payne. So it's not like, but still. My dentist's name is Dr. Payne. Really?
Yeah. Our chief scientist for my company, his name is Dr. Plant. But he's a great guy.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, these people can't help things. That's what their name is. That's what it is.
I know. He graduated from Harvard like 2 years earlier than he was supposed to and top in his class.
Wow.
So he's got some pretty good credentials.
Nice.
Me, I espouse to get degrees.
So we have to get the big elephant out of the room, out of the way. What's tomorrow?
Friday.
Well,
John Maxwell.
that is correct. Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't gotten to tomorrow yet. Okay.
Is he speaking at a conference tomorrow?
Yeah.
Where
He's
is
going
it?
to lead in my church.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's great, Carla. Well, go up to him and shake hands and introduce yourself. And he's a very easy to talk to guy. He's a lovely, lovely man. He really is.
Yeah.
So,
I have friends in high places at the church, so hopefully I'll get to meet him.
Hey, we would love for you to be on one of our conversation calls, Mr. Maxwell. That would be phenomenal.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be fantastic, Chris.
That would be nice.
He's such a cool guy, and he's so good at this leadership stuff. He has such good ideas, in terms of how you should do it and why you should do it the way. And he's had great experience.
Yeah. The first year I went was 2 years ago, and this will be my third one. He actually stayed over for the weekend and did a sermon at our church on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
he used to be a pastor.
Yeah.
He used to be a pastor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was the mentor for our current pastor.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a leadership center in our church.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But again, he's a very nice man, Carla.
Yeah, he's probably one of these people you'd love to just sit down at dinner and talk to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's really easy to talk to. So
yeah.
And for what I hear, he's pretty good at golf.
He what?
He's pretty good at golf.
Oh,
really? I did not know that.
He plays golf. That he does.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. No, he's just, he's not an egotistical man.
No, not at all.
He's just a regular person, but he's just so good at what he does.
Yeah.
So it's, it's kind of,
sure.
Yeah. Well, I told you when he came to Vancouver, I made a point of, I bought his book and I went up to him and I said, will you sign my book? So sure, he signed my book.
Which book did you get?
Which book did I get? That's a good question. Is this it? Yeah. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you learn.
Oh, cool. I don't know about that one. Yeah.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah. So see, he signed it.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, he's a very.
How was movie night last night?
Movie night?
Chris froze.
What's that?
Where did you go, Chris? Did you go to a movie?
Here. I'm right here.
Oh, how was movie night?
Movie night was good.
What did you watch?
We went to go see the new Venom movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it was better than the first one, but it was really good. And it kind of leads into the next movie, which it's not. See, Sony owns the rights to Venom, so it's
Mm,
not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that Marvel owns.
yeah.
So what they're trying to do is kind of bridge that gap. So finally, Sony kind of reluctantly is now going to tie it in to the next film, which is coming out, which is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So they're trying to tie it in. So when you watch the movie and you see the tail end of the movie in the post credit scenes, then you'll get to see how that thing is trying to be interconnected. And once you watch that, you'll be like, wow, I did not know that. So it's kind of interesting. But it was a good date night. So just went
Did you
out.
get dinner in?
Huh?
Did you get dinner in?
No, dinner was actually so late. We just basically bought dinner basically
Popcorn
at
and
the movie
Diet Coke.
theaters. So that's what we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when I was talking to you, you were waiting on your wife, and I'm going, I don't think he's going to have Diet Coke and popcorn for dinner, which is more expensive than a movie.
Yeah. So ladies, this is what I like to be able to share with everyone today. Is hybrid work honeymoon over? Carla, you said you really wanted to dive deep into that, and what really sparked your interest in wanting to dive into this?
Well, I wouldn't say that hopefully my dog won't bark. I wouldn't say I dived deep into it, but I certainly wanted to wade into it. I personally love working from home.
Right.
And I wouldn't have it any other. I'm not going back, Not that I have like a corporate job that I'm looking to, are we going back to work or not? But I think that people have over the past, well, number one, my company for the last almost 2 years now, 18 months, whatever, thanks to our lovely pandemic, they're kind of, remember over the summer, they're like, okay, everybody's going back to the office in September. And then the Delta variants came. And then, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to put the brakes on. We're not going to do anything. And so they're still kind of teetering back and forth. Sometimes they're talking about, are we going to do something kind of a hybrid, have people in a couple of days a week? What kind of risks do we want to take? Although, like in the state of Georgia, if you go into a store and you get COVID, you can't turn around and sell it. You can't turn around and sue the store. The same way in business, if you're working in a business and you happen to get COVID, you can't turn around and sue the business. And I think that there are a lot of states that are doing that. But companies are flip-flopping all over the place. And I think that if you're an employee, you're like, wait a minute, I don't know if I want to go back. There's some people that really want that social face-to-face interaction. I love it. It's great. But when I weigh the pros and cons of it, of sitting in traffic for 45 minutes to an hour to get somewhere, thank you, honey. My husband's moving stuff. You just walked past me. When you're weighing all that in and going, okay, to be somewhere, I've got to get up at 6. I have to leave by 6:30 to get there by 7:15. Oh my God, I hope there's not an accident along the way or a slowdown or traffic or whatever. It all adds up and it affects your stress level during the day. So, with people going, cool, I can work at home, they've been able to prove to an organization that they can get their job done. They can take lunch maybe at noon, maybe at 1, maybe at 2, whatever, and they're still getting their job done. A lot of people have found that having that ability to totally work from home has given them more time with their family and their kids. It's allowed them to not have childcare costs. And childcare costs are astronomical these days. I think if I had to pay childcare costs right now, I wouldn't be having kids. A lot of people don't have the luxury of having family help them out. I have some friends of mine that are my age who have grandkids, and they're helping their kids out by taking care of their kids, their grandkids, so they don't have those kind of costs. It's given them an opportunity to have time to actually do a hobby as opposed to sitting in a car. So when they think about, do I really want to have to go back to work, even if it's a few days a week? Do I really want to add that chaos into my life, into life that's already chaotic as it is? Do they really want to do that? Some people have said, hey, I can jump online and I can get my work done early and I can scoot out at 4:00 in the afternoon. I don't have to show up and actually punch a time clock per se in terms of physically being in the office. And they like that. They don't want to go back to the workplace. And I think if people were given that option to fully work remotely, that we should get creative in how we work as leaders to facilitate that for people, whether it be with team meetings or if you're going to bring somebody into the office, don't bring them into the office just to have them sit at a desk to do what they could do at home. You know, if you're going to have an activity, you're going to have a presentation or whatever, then I could understand where you could possibly bring people into the office. But you have to I think you have to make it worth their while to do that, especially after they've proven themselves out after the past many months. For some people, it's not even 18 months, but over the past year, for example. I think that the hybrid or even completely working from home is here to stay. I know my son's girlfriend just got another job, and she's doing it all at home. And she is so happy because she can be at home. Her dog is happy, because the dog's not left all day long. I know when I was full time and, my husband was off a few days a week during the week, but I had to leave my dog at home. His total disposition is completely different now than it was when I was running out for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Totally different. So I hope that it's here to stay, because it's freed up so many people to truly enjoy their lives. And I was reading something in that article. I'm sure you'll post that in the comments, but I was reading the things that people wrote underneath. And I thought that this was a good discussion question to add to what we're talking about is a lot of people are thinking, well, yeah, I'm working from home, but I'm spending money on utilities, and should they be compensated for that?
Yeah, that goes into the point when you're thinking about it from a entrepreneurial business perspective, is if you're working from home, how much can you write off in taxes, so to speak, when it comes to electric, phone, computer, printer, and all that kind of stuff. So, but if you're working for an organization that has the ability, flexibility to allow you to work, let's say, two days in the office, 3 days at home, or vice versa, or whatever that may be, are they going to end up creating some kind of environment and incentive to say, hey, if you're working from home, these are the things that the organization will take care of in lieu of if you was to be at the work site or office or whatever that might be. And I would definitely like to dive deep down to that too as well, because when you think about it, there's a lot of people who do like to be able to say, hey, I want to work from home today. And see, I think we've been doing it for a long time in many different ways, but we have not really come to realize it until just the past 2 years. And some people have not even had a change in their day-to-day because of it, but people also have thrived and grown their business even during this very time.
Yeah. Well, I think when you have let's just say you're in a business where you're giving services to other people, like soft skills, like Sandy does, like we're going to do. we have to get creative about how we're going to approach servicing the people that are in the office and those that are working remotely. And there are a lot of people that offer services to other businesses that have been affected by this, and they have not had the opportunity to actually grow. Sadly, there are a lot of businesses that have closed down. But I've been working from home for 2 years, and it was well before the pandemic. So it's different for me because it's not a question of whether I'm going to go to an office or not. I don't have an office to go to. My office is in my living room, you know. In terms of taxes, I do get a certain percentage for phone service because I use my phone a lot. Any office equipment that I have and the square footage of my office, you know, because I'm using it exclusively as an office. I don't tell them that my dog sleeps in the corner.
The lazy coworker.
But there are some tax benefits, but I don't know if that's because I have my own business. I don't know what they have worked out in terms of you're working for company X and you're working at home because of the pandemic. What kind of benefits tax-wise do you have because you're using your utilities, your electricity? Basically, you're using your electricity. Most people are heating their house regardless, you know.
Well, let me throw this into the conversation, and also I want Sandy to chime in too as well.
Well, I've always worked from home because, again, you know, I'm a solopreneur, and I never saw the need to rent an office space somewhere to work out of. Yeah. So I've always worked from home. And even sometimes with a lot of my coaching clients, I actually, if they didn't want me to come to them, or I didn't go to their office, then they would come to me, and I would actually, you know, set them up with my laptop in the kitchen. And, you know, we would just sit there, or at my dining room table, you know, and we would just sit there, and I would have the session with them right here in the house sometimes. I haven't with the pandemic. With the pandemic, I've used Skype or Zoom for coaching. But it's just a matter of, you know, what do you do? And I've written off, the things that I've written off is my computer, because, you know, I had to buy a new computer last year. And so I write that off, and the paper that I put into my copying machine, and my copier also I wrote off when I bought it, because it's a business machine and I have a business. You can write off those things. So my supplies, and I don't write off electricity or any of that kind of stuff. I just, you know, whatever. But the supplies and the machines, and, you know, because I also had to get a new laptop. And so, you know, those things I write off. But anything else, I mean, I charge the client, like the one that I'm going to next week, I'm not charging them. They're not for profit. So I'm not charging them the travel time. But normally I do. I charge the travel time. But I told her that I have to charge her the parking because I've got to pay for parking. So I'm going to have to add that to the bill. And I do add that to the bills because I don't feel that, you know, I need to be paying for that. So I add it to them. But I was surprised that she agreed to my fee, because they are a not-for-profit. And I told her, you know, that for the half day it was going to be $2,500. She's going to pay me $2,500. I was very surprised.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
They obviously have a budget. So, you know, I was very pleased. And, you know, I've already sent her the syllabus. And I, you know, also ahead of time, I sent her the outline for the 2 topics that I'm teaching, so that, you know, she could make sure. I sent her documents, and she wrote me back. She said, "You sent me so much stuff, I don't know what to pick." So I said, "Okay, never mind. I'll send you an outline. And if you're happy with the outline, with what I've, you know, put in it, then I will make the PowerPoint, and I will also put together the syllabus." So she was happy with the outline. And so I did the PowerPoint, and I put together the syllabus. So I'm doing active listening and accountability for them.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Those
nice.
are 2 good ones. Yes. I like that.
And I told her that what we'll do is we'll do like a 10-minute break between the 2. So when I finish active listening, we'll have a little 10-minute break if people need to go to the bathroom, or, you know, and then we'll do accountability. for the rest of the
Nice.
morning. But yeah, I think there's going to be 25 or 30 people. They apparently have a big training room, and she said everybody would wear masks. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. I'll wear one too. No biggie. And I'm going to bring my laptop, but I don't know. I'm going to also bring the program on a flash drive because she said that they might want me to use their laptop for their system and whatever. So I said, well, fine. We'll figure it out when I get there. We're going to start at 9, so I'll be there at 8:30. I always come a half an hour ahead because if there are tech things that need to be sorted out, I don't want to take up the time of the session. So I like it to be all straightened out before we start. So I'm going to leave here before 8, and I'll be there and parked and go into the building by 8:30 so that their techie can set me up and do whatever we need to do to get things running properly. She's already got the handout, so she'll run them off, and she said she'd give them to the receptionist at the front, and when I come in, she'll give them to me, and then I can distribute them at the session. So, that's fine. And I told her, I said, run them off on both sides of the paper so you don't have to use so much paper. Double-sided. It's, there's no problem doing that.
Well, I want to hit these two comments from Brian. More Brianisms, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. He says, personal contract with coworkers, customers, competitors are extremely valuable, and if we're not careful, we will continue to make erroneous, fear-based decisions that are irrevocable, that will do irreparable harm. And then he comes back and replies to Graham, because Graham's watching right now. He says this to Graham: remote work has made work more process, quote unquote, oriented, and by default, speeding up the creation of the workplace where people will be obsolete. Now, see, when it comes to that first, that last point there, which is the one he first brought up, Brian did. I don't believe it's going to replace people. I just don't fully believe in our parts. No matter how hard that we try to create more artificial intelligence or create more technology that replaces human beings, the human being is far more adept to doing it, whatever we want to do and however we want to do it. We're just doing it in a different way. That is it. Simple as that.
Dealing with people, Chris. Robots don't deal very well with human beings, and this artificial intelligence. It's not the same as when you've got customer service and you've got a person to a person. It's
right.
Whether it's on the phone or it's in person. I'm sorry, you've got to have a human there.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have like a customer service that you can chat with somebody, which is fine. But, a lot of times they don't necessarily address the issue that you have at hand. So you really need to talk to another person. And it all depends on the industry.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can automate healthcare and dentistry. There's no way.
No.
Not
possible.
Yes, you can. Yes, they have automated some different types of surgery with robotic surgery, which is great. But that means that patient outcomes are better. You still have a surgeon that's actually there doing the robotic surgery. Yeah. It's not like Chevrolet where you can put robots on the production line. It's not like Amazon that can go and pick product with artificial intelligence. There's some things, yes, you can automate, but I don't think that it can completely drive us into obsolescence.
No, I don't think so either. I think there are some situations where a machine or some kind of robotic thing will work. But I think when it's human to human, when you've got to work with people and you've got to work with your customers or your clients, I don't think robots are, it's not the same. And particularly if a client or a customer has a problem, you need to talk to another human being. And we need to support them and make sure that the problem gets solved properly, or you're going to lose the customer.
For sure.
There's got to be human beings still involved. Yes, I'm sure there are some processes and some things that can be done by machines and by robots and so on and so forth, whatever. And buy a car, a house, a business.
What's true? It's exactly what I said. You can buy those things without interacting with somebody.
Mhm.
And people do it all the time.
Yep.
There are people that go on my company website and buy stuff all the time. They have choices.
Mhm.
Just like I can go and buy a car without talking to anybody.
Mhm.
I personally wouldn't do it, but other people do, and that's the benefit of having choices in this world. But
Yeah.
it's not going to make that car salesperson's job obsolete.
No.
It might cut down on the number of people that are working.
Mhm.
Yes, but
Yeah.
Well, see, to me, though, there are certain things that technology is going to be, I won't say far more superior, but far more uh, better at doing things than sometimes the human does. Because as humans, we make errors.
Mhm.
That's understandable. But when it comes to a technology that has that error rate at a very low rate, sometimes that's going to be beneficial more often than not. I get that, recognize that. But also in the same turn, what if that technology goes down or said robot goes down? What do you do then? It's like what my father taught me at a very young age. Always have a backup for a backup for a backup for a backup. You always have to have that. And for me, I just don't, like I said, again, the human condition, the human intellect, the human attitude of who we are cannot be replaced by an AI or a robot. There's just no way. The gut feeling instincts when you feel like, hey, I'm buying a house. This guy's trying to, football me here, and I don't like it. Something just doesn't feel right. But if you try to buy a house online and say I want 65.5 for it, let's say it's a sight unseen, like they do with car dealerships, and then you go in there buy $65,000 worth of house. You go there, next thing you know, it looks like crap. What happens when it comes to that? When your 65 grand goes down the toilet, hey, I bought a house that looks like crap.
In today's market, the 65 grand won't even get you a trailer. Okay. Maybe you're thinking 650 grand. Okay.
Well, whatever the case may be, you just don't want to end up going down there. In fact, we're doing that now with cars. You can go to Vroom or Carvana, other places like that you can literally buy a car, which there's certain that's probably okay to do. But for me, I'm just kind of a face-to-face kind of guy. That's all the way
I think a lot of that came about because people didn't like to deal with the salespeople.
Well, even if I'm going to buy a car, I'd still want to drive it. So I'd like to try it. So,
yeah.
And I certainly would never buy a house sight unseen. Never.
Well, I know people that have.
Oh, I wouldn't.
A friend of mine down in Florida, they bought it off the internet, and one of her daughters came home and said, "Hey, Mom, you know they're selling crack at the corner." And they ended up selling their house, got what they wanted to it, and moved to another house.
I wouldn't do it. You got to look at it. You got to decide if the room sizes are right and if the layout is right, and what kind of shape is it in. Am I going to have to do lots of renovations? Is there mold in the walls? You got to go and see it. Seeing a picture online doesn't necessarily give you the true picture.
Well, it's great that you can go see a house you can see a house online to see if it's something that you really want. But yeah, I remember when we moved 5 years ago, when we were looking for a house, there were some of them that looked great online. And then we pulled up to them and said, "Move on, we're not even going in."
Yeah. So let's dive back into Brian's second comment here, where he says personal contracts with coworkers, customers, and competitors, etc., are extremely valuable. And if we're not capable and will continue making erroneous fear-based decisions that can do irreparable harm. Now,
what do you mean by fear-based decisions?
Yes, Brian, we would like to find out from you. What do you mean by that? Well, see, he does fear-based decisions as things are based in the past. So whatever is happening to people from a past perspective, because see, if you're truly in the present moment, okay, here it goes. This is what he just said.
People have to provide value for others that they cannot get elsewhere, and this has become less prevalent. Well, that's true.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's, necessarily something that you want to.
Customer service is very robotic in some industries, and humans can be replaced here with standard responses recorded. Yeah. I've never had a whole lot of good luck. I mean, I'm a resourceful person. If I can put in a question and I get the answer, then that's perfectly fine. But there's a lot of times that my question doesn't fit any of their categories.
And then it's not helpful. And then you don't
And it's
feel
not
like.
helpful to me. So you need somebody that can help you. And you call up a place and you have press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this, and you go, I don't know which one it really fits into. So you press one of them and you automatically say, I don't know if I'm at the right place, but here's my question.
Well, I'll give you an example. We own a place up at Whistler, and we own it with another family. And we decided to do some renovations. So Carol and I went to a carpet store, flooring store, and we picked a new carpet and, some other things. And then what happened was the crew was going to go up and install the stuff. So Yale and I went up first, and we moved some stuff around so that they would have an easier time. And then Carol and Arnie went up after they'd finished to put things back. So Carol phones me and she goes, didn't we order a brown carpet? I said, yeah, we did, because, it's dirty up at Whistler. Well, the carpet that's installed is beige. I went, what? She said, it's the same carpet, but it's beige. So Arnie, who has no people skills whatsoever, that's Carol's husband, he got on the phone. He says, what are you going to do about this? I said, Arnie, leave it with me. I will phone the guy and have a little chat with him. So what are you going to say? I said, just leave it with me.
Go away. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I'll take care of this. So Monday, I phoned the owner of the store, and I said, I'm sorry to bother you, but we have a little problem. He said, what problem? I said, the wrong carpet was installed. He said, well, I have to check into that. I said, no, you don't. I'm telling you. I have the sample of the carpet we chose, and it's not the one that was installed. We paid him like half up front. So I said, here's the thing. Your guys, we have two choices here. Either we don't pay you the other half and we'll live with this carpet, or your guys are going to have to go up, rip up this carpet and put in the proper one, which is going to cost you a lot more money. So it's up to you. He says, well, I have to talk to my lawyer. I said, well, you realize that Yale and Arnie are both lawyers. He went, oh, I didn't know that. Both the guys are lawyers. And I said, this is your mistake. I don't know whether it was the guys just, the carpet.
Pulled the wrong number.
I don't know. But I said, it's something that you need to deal with in an appropriate way. He said, well, I'll get back to you. And he said, and thank you for not yelling at me. I said, well, there's no point in yelling at you. It doesn't fix the problem. I said, you talk to whoever you need to talk to and call me back. So he did. He said, okay, you don't need to pay any more money. We'll just leave it as it is. So I phoned Arnie and Carol. And I said, here's the deal we got. Arnie says, well, how did you do that? And I said, because I was nice to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I said, I didn't yell at him. I just stated the facts as they were and said, this is what would make us happy. We don't want to pay you more money, because otherwise your guys have to go up. I explained to him. And Arnie said, you did that? And I said, yeah. And he accepted it? I said, yeah, he did, because he wants happy customers. And since then, we bought an area rug from him, and and I said, it's how you treat people.
Yeah.
There was really no point in me phoning him up and screaming at him. I mean, that wasn't going to make him, be nice to me. So I didn't see any point. And Arnie would have yelled at him. He would have phoned him, screamed and yelled at him. So that's why I didn't want him to do it. I mean, he's a very smart guy, but he has zero people skills. Zero. I'm not kidding you. Well, a lot of times they wouldn't let him talk to clients. I mean, he was really good at what he would do with contracts, but they never let him talk to clients because he'd tell them they were stupid.
Wow.
Yeah, he would do stuff like that.
Wow.
And they knew that. So they didn't usually let him talk to clients.
Right.
So they would give him work and Arnie would do it because he's got a very good brain, but he's got no people skills. Like when I would phone the cabin, because Yale doesn't ski, and maybe Arnie hadn't gone up that day, and I'd say, is Yale around? I'm not his keeper. Why are you phoning me to find out where Yale is? I said, Artie, I'm just asking you a question. Is Yale in the cabin? Because if he is, I'd like to talk to him. Otherwise, tell him that I called and I'll be home at such and such a time. I don't know where he is. I said, okay, fine, bye.
Have a great day.
Yeah. I mean, really?
Yeah.
Well, this came from Graham, and this is what Graham said. My point, Carla, is people already restricted to what answer they can give you that they can be replaced by a robot, whether they like the answer or not. I agree that many questions don't fit into the press 1, 2, or 3 category, etc., etc.
So Graham, what you're saying, and I wish you're on live so we could have a conversation and I could send Chris to dinner, but are you saying that people are restricted in the answers that they can give out of fear that if they give the wrong answer, they're going to be replaced by a robot?
And this is what probably Brian just said in response to Graham.
We need these two guys in this conversation.
Well, yes, but the thing is this, that, when you only have like a robot that's got a set answer, I'm sorry, set answers don't always work depending on who you're talking to and what the problem is. And it's a matter of, like that situation with the carpeting at Whistler, that wouldn't have worked with a robot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
But, and the other thing is that the people who are in customer service and are talking to customers have to be given a certain amount of latitude in terms of how they're going to make the customer happy. Mm-hmm. And, if the customer tells you, this is what will make me happy. And if you can at least come close to that, then you're going to have a happy customer that will return even though there was a problem. But if you can't get something close to what would make you happy, then they're probably going to take their business elsewhere, and they're certainly not going to send anybody else to you.
Yeah.
So, that's why sometimes it's better to have a person.
Right. But see, my point has always been, no matter the way technology has been set forth, depending whether to be from the 80s, 90s till today, whatever that might be, like I said, you can't replace the human intellect of when you pick up a phone. And let's say, for instance, especially if it's in the hybrid work environment when we're talking about today, let's say you go and buy said carpet like you did, Sandy, and the carpet wasn't good, and you say, hey, this was the carpet for my brand new home that the architect even specifically said was supposed to be installed with a brand new house and all that kind of stuff. Now, are you going to end up calling the architect, or are you going to call the people that actually installed the carpet? What's going to happen? You shouldn't have to end up, I believe, in my thoughts, and in the way I see things, you shouldn't have to go say, oh, press 1 for new copper installation, press 2 for a reinstallation of carpet or refund or whatever. See that when you even think about it, it's gotten to that point that it's become so robotic that even when you go through a drive-through at McDonald's, what do you see? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4.
Yeah, but you're still talking to a person.
Correct.
And you have the option of going in and ordering from a big iPad, tablet. And
this is what Graham probably just said. So let me make sure Graham said this. But that's what the reply back is from, I believe, Brian's, what he just said just a second ago. Yeah, no, they have to follow a script and unable to show empathy. They gave to follow the set.
I don't know where that is, but like the company that I work with, if I call them up and tell them that I'm missing something from an order, or maybe the shippers did, something got broken or whatever, the first things out of their mouth is, I'm really sorry that you're having trouble. Let's see what we can do to fix it. They automatically take responsibility for it. And several years ago, I bought over $250 worth of items, and I got the wrong item. And I was totally happy to say, hey, give me an MRA which is a label to return it. Happy to return it. And she was saying, hey, well, I'll send you we'll make your order right. Yeah, it's our mistake. We'll make the order right. We'll send it to you. And I said, well, are you going to send me a label to return it? She goes, no, keep it. You can use it. Share it with your friends. I've had boxes lost from FedEx, maybe once, twice. And I call them up and say, I got box 1 out of 2. I don't know where box 2 is. And I'm just double checking that maybe you might know where it is, and or help me track it. And she said, we're not going to track it. And when you get it, we'll just send you the other part of your order. And I got it the next day. So they actually paid overnight shipping for that.
Wow.
And 2 days later, box 2 showed up, and I called them up because I was willing to return it. And they said, no, keep it. You're not responsible for that. That is customer service.
Yep.
They want you to have a good experience, because what are you going to do? You're going to be talking to your friends about it and telling your friends about the great customer service you had. I don't care whether it's at the grocery store, the dry cleaners, or wherever. You're going to be talking to people about that, and you need to have that one-on-one interaction.
Yeah.
Yes, they have the option for virtual assistant for somebody that thinks this is easy. I can do it with a virtual assistant. They may or may not get their question answered, but automation cannot hit every question.
And see, this came from Brian. It's easier not to think for yourself, Graham. It's much easier to follow the directions regardless how terrible they are. And I believe this is another Brian one. He said, put it this way: our jobs as we know them will be obsolete in the next 5 to 15 years. We will have to redefine how we contextualize our jobs.
I can't see a robot doing workshops. I'm sorry.
I can't see a robot doing healthcare.
No. Or dentistry.
Yeah.
Right.
They're just some things that cannot be automated.
No.
And see, and he just said there too, to Graham, the shift to remote work simply speeds up that process. Well, Brian, I understand your point of view on that. I do, and that's why I'm glad that you and Graham are actually engaging here on the conversation. But please join us on the live stream if you can, because we'd like to get you involved. But see, again, it goes simply back to the human condition, environment that is a human being. It's just like when you think about it, if you go to a restaurant, you go to said restaurant and you order, let's say, through a drive-through, and this has now been, and you can actually Google this out. Drive-throughs now are not necessarily automated, but they're actually outsourced to call centers across the United States because they wanted to get the low error rate of people not getting the correct order. So what they're doing is when you hear the PA announcer say, "Welcome to my KFC" or "Welcome to Taco Bell" or whatever, that's being routed to a call center somewhere in the United States because they have no distraction. They don't hear nothing going on in the kitchen or nothing, whatever. They're solely focused on taking someone's order. Now, that is a good way to work that around because you still have that human and human interaction. That is still there. You can't replace that. But what if we end up going down that road, in which some things have been done that way already, that we literally are at the mercy of what AI or a computer tells us we can or cannot do? That should not be the choices we should be able to make, because I learned this again from Brian. Choice is the ultimate path to freedom. If we're the free thinking people as we are, we should have the choice of which way we go and how do we decide to grow ourselves, not only in a hybrid work environment, but any work environment for that matter. Because if I can be able to become a better listener, I can learn better, become a better leader. Listen, learn, and lead. And see, robots won't be able to do that. There's just no way a robot can have a gut instinct in saying, hey, no, this carpet is not the right color or the right size, because it may look right to them, but you got to remember, of all the dimensions and where things are going to be laid out, how are they going to end up deciphering from one or the other? We can't give them an actual uh, gut check algorithm to say, hey, I just don't have it in my, something's just not right. Only human beings have that.
Yep. That's why customer service, I'm sorry, I really don't think it can be robotic.
Not 100%.
No. I mean, people who are in customer service need to be given latitude of what they can and cannot do, in terms of keeping the customer happy. It can't be cut and dried, one yes or no, period. It just can't, because you need to know what is going to make that person happy, and you need to do whatever you can do to come as close to that as possible so that they will be happy. Otherwise, you're going to lose their business, and they certainly won't refer any other people to you, and so on and so forth. And I mean, I thought that he handled what I wanted very nicely and very well. And so I also told some other people up there, if you want to use this guy, he's pretty good. I mean, they did a good job laying the carpet. It wasn't that they didn't do a good job. They just brought the wrong carpet up.
Yeah.
Obviously, when they went to pick it up, the place wherever they picked it up from gave them the wrong roll of carpet. So, it's just, it is what it is. But because it was his business, and I spoke to the owner, he, wanted us to be happy. And so he agreed to what I said.
Yeah. Well, you gave him a solution that you would have been happy with. And
Yeah.
You gave him more than one. They could either,
Right.
write off the last half of the carpet that you were supposed to pay, or they could come and
Redo it.
change it out.
Yeah.
Either way, you'd be okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Carol and I talked about it. We said, we can live with this. I mean, it's Whistler, people come in with dirty boots and, whatever, but the entranceway, we didn't have carpet. The entranceway, we had hardwood flooring. So, they can leave their boots in the front hall, and, when they go on the carpet, they can be in their socks. So,
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There's always a way around that.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of, what you decided to do. And we figured, well, it was the same carpet. It just was beige instead of brown. And we chose brown because we figured, that wouldn't show as much stain.
Yeah.
But, whatever. I mean, again, they did a good job. And our townhouse is 3 floors. So we've got stairs, in between on each floor. And like the upstairs is just a loft, but there's a bathroom up there. And it's a divided area. And the main floor has a bedroom and the living room and the dining room and the kitchen and another bathroom, full bathroom. And in the front hall, we have a place for you to hang coats and store your skis and, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we store the skis in the basement, but when we're up there skiing, we keep them in the front hall.
I was going to say that must be a big hallway.
It is a big hallway.
Yeah.
And then the
And
basement.
here is Mr. Brian Sumner himself.
One down, one to go. Where's Graham? Come on.
Graham will come on.
All right. So go us into the mechanisms, Mr. Brian.
The basement has 2 bedrooms, a laundry room, a full bathroom, and a storage area. So
Wow.
it's a pretty good sized
Like a
town.
beautiful place. What are you doing, Brian? What are you up to?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
Good
So
news
the
far.
floor is yours, sir.
What was that?
The floor is
The floor
yours.
is yours.
Oh,
Are you
well,
replaceable?
I kind of articulated it in the comments, Chris. I mean, put it this way. I was in education for 12 years, and I remember telling my students, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, 7 years ago, I said, my job as a college professor will be obsolete as I know it in the next 10 years. There's no reason for a college professor to be standing in front of a classroom teaching. when all of the resources that a professor teaches from are all available online, whether it be in text, whether it be, and I'm not saying that personal interaction isn't valuable. I'm all in favor of it. I think the work environment that we've created is crap. But the point being is that as a student, as a customer, as anything, I don't need to interact with people like I did 5 years ago. I can go on Amazon and order anything and it shows up in my door hours to a day later, right? I mean, I can get delivery dudes to deliver food now if we choose to do such, right? I mean, I'm in mergers and acquisitions and the industry's changed. There are online platforms now where you can post all the information about a company that you're selling. I can go through, get information on it, and I can have a couple of emails back and forth and I can buy a business. Like, I don't have to be physically with someone any longer. I don't have to do that. Now, there's obviously an advantage to that. I'm all in favor of being in person and being in a workplace and interacting with customers and clients and so forth. I'm just saying that the work that we do as we do it is being redefined, reshaped, and I don't think people are recognizing that we're making decisions, fearful decisions about, mandates or, a virus and all these things that I don't think we're realizing that what we're doing is we're actually going to exacerbate something and speed up a process where we're going to find ourselves 5 years from now saying, oh, why am I no longer needed when a customer can go and do their own shopping, right? We have more information accessible to us in these little devices than any other time in history. And it continues to exponentially go up every year, every day. I mean, so it's not that we aren't useful. I think we have to find ways to become more useful, Chris. Right? I mean, as I told Graham in the comments, sports and coaching, there are certain things that in sports that you don't need a coach to tell you what to do anymore. Yeah, there are certain things that we need, but my point is we're commoditizing everything. Everything's becoming so distilled, so simple, so pared down that the complexity of it, people aren't looking for complexity. People are looking for the simple answer, fast, cheap, easy, move on with their life. And I think that's what the remote work environment is just making that much easier for people to do. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
So let me go back to what you said about the fear-based decisions, though, Brian. Why should we, in the technology that we have before us, even from a remote work environment, why do we probably go back into that fear-based mindset because of those things that's happening to us, let's say from 10 or 15 years ago to where we currently are today? Why would you propose that might be done from a fear-based mindset?
Well, I think people are making a decision to stay home and not go to a work environment for fear-based reasons, erroneous reasons. I'm not saying that it doesn't end up being more convenient. As Carla said, yeah, I don't feel like driving in traffic and driving into a workplace and you do stuff. But it's making work much more difficult for a lot of people. Not everybody has the disposition to sit home and be able to do their work from home. Not everybody has the ability to, right? I mean, last I checked, I don't think we could do a surgery remotely over Zoom very easily, right? I mean, when was the last time an airplane pilot could be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit home today and enjoy the flight, right? Without me. It's not geared for every industry. But I just think people have, look, in my opinion, the last year and a half, people have made more fear-based decisions and it exposed how much fear people actually live their life with that has done irrevocable harm to a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and I don't know if it's going to rebound as easily as people think it will in that way. And I'm not saying we should all just run back to the office. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think we're shifting the workplace more so than we actually think we are. And I don't know if we actually know what we're really doing with that. Are we prepared for that, really? My sense is no. It sounds nice. Yeah, it's really cool. It's convenient. I get to work from home and not leave anywhere. But is that the best thing moving forward in the next 10, 15, 20 years for people? I don't know. I don't think so.
Your thoughts, Carla?
Well, I wanted to see what that other comment was that you had up as well. I think that the hybrid, I think that probably over time we're going to end up having all three options. Maybe people, I didn't get to read it, Chris. Thinking I didn't get to read it. We'll have people working from home. We'll have people doing a hybrid, and we'll have people that say, I want to go back to the office 5 days a week. And let's see, Graham said trainers, coaches, lecturers, professors are not needed face-to-face, and it won't be long before most learning is done online. Well, especially for personal trainers, that comes up because I know tons of people that have went online as soon as the pandemic hit. Of course, there were some that didn't know how to get online, convert over, and they didn't. But a large percentage of people have gone online. They had to survive.
Yeah, and it's a great thing. Look, I like doing things online. I'm not anti-technology. I'm just saying I don't think we're really prepared for where this is going to go in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Well, who is it, the company that came up with I don't know, because I don't have one, that big mirror that you put on the wall and you can look up your workouts and you're actually working out in front of a mirror with a personal trainer.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's the name escapes me, but I know what you're talking about. It's all digital.
Yeah.
There's Peloton and there's another one. Yeah.
Nordic Track, I know, came out with something like that.
Is it Emotion? I can't remember what it was. But I mean, everybody jumps on the bandwagon if there's something that they can do electronically.
Yeah, and those smart mirrors are even more prevalent now. Because I've been seeing them in a commercial for bath and showers now. That you can literally watch your news, listen to your radio while you're doing that, and I believe that's just another form of what probably we've already done before in the past. We used to take the radio in the bathroom when we're going to go wash our hair, and we start singing in the shower and all that kind of stuff. We've always done that, but now the technology is now caught up to such an extent. Now you can go hike the Himalayas on the mirror on your wall, and you're doing it on the Peloton that you're on, or the treadmill, or whatever, and it's already there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then what do you do when the power goes out? You get a warm winter storm or a big rainstorm and the power goes out. You're screwed.
Yeah,
That's true.
And people are lost. Look what happened the other day when Facebook and Instagram went down. People went crazy.
Yeah, they did.
It was like,
I just thought it was funny.
I did too. I checked my emails. I sat and deleted trash emails.
I just thought it was just funny.
Yeah. So
I don't know if they even figured out what happened.
I don't know. Who knows? Well, yeah, Chris, I told you a story about getting the ink for my dad yesterday. He's going to be 88.
That was a story.
He thinks he's going to be 87, but no, Dad, you're going to be 88. Okay. He swear. Well, I'll tell you this too. It's funny. My dad was in radio for many years, and he was in radio in the Atlanta market too, as a general manager in sales. And we had Sean Hannity on in the car on Patriot Radio, And my dad starts telling me a story about how he used to be in the Tulsa market when they lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1959, and I could not convince my dad that Sean Hannity hadn't even been born yet. But despite where I was going with this with the electronics, that kind of talks about my day, other than the fact that he knew of a print store where he could get ink, but he knew where it was, but he couldn't figure out how to get there. Yeah. But he didn't want to inconvenience me, so he'd get out in his car and go find it. I said, no, you're not going to do that. But anyway, I told him, I said, Dad, if they don't have it here at Staples, I'm getting it for you on Amazon and you'll have it tomorrow. He goes, they can do that? I thought, where have you been? You know, but he's not of the mindset that anything you want to get, you can find on the internet. And that's the way we grew up. I remember when I was up at my daughter's several years ago, and they actually extended the Amazon Prime to 2-hour delivery in DC. And we had something, and I figured it'd come the next day, and it was 2 hours. And I had no clue you could even do that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just we're so electronically oriented. We're looking for things that we can automate. And in some respects, it is going to put some people out of a job, you know?
What I like what you said, though. You came up with the 3 points that you can do all three at one point in time, that's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. And I think in terms of customer service, I think you should always have somebody there to handle the things that the automation cannot take care of, because there will be things. It's not going to take care of everything.
No.
So you've got to have both. So, and I think in the work environment, I think we're going to have people that are just, I mean, there are people probably chomping at the bit to go back to the office because they feel like they need that socialization. They don't care how far they have to drive. They're going into the office. And then there's some people that are perfectly happy going in a couple of days a week and seeing people. And then there are going to be those that are really happy working from home. I think.
Hello, James. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining us today. What's your thoughts, James, on the hybrid work environment? Do you believe it's going to replace our traditional work environment, or can we have a hybrid work environment, or are we going to go totally automated? We've been talking a lot about that. So thank you for joining us today, James. We're glad that you're here. And of course, Graham, you must join. It'll be nice to get a dinner.
Yeah.
You're going to be waiting a long time for that dinner.
I'll be waiting a long time for dinner. Yes.
Come on, Graham. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. He used to be on the calls, a long time ago when we had the calls. Graham was.
They were recorded. They weren't live, and so that's where he's not comfortable.
Oh, okay.
But whatever. I never even think about these being live, but they are. So.
Right. We're just having a conversation.
We just
we are. We are. And for me, the hybrid work environment, especially maybe from the realm of restaurants and construction, and there's going to be many different other industries that won't have that availability to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
that's kind of the way it is. But I think in terms of leadership, I think that the leadership needs to work to where they can work with both environments and keep people on the same page, whether you're doing a project as a team or whatever, whether they be in the office or they be remote. You need to be having frequent, not frequent, but like regular meetings to make sure that everybody's up to speed on what's going on, what's expected, what might have changed, need to modify, anything like that. There's ways to keep everybody on the same page. I know with the organization I'm with, we have weekly team meetings. Sometimes we meet a couple of times a week.
And also, we might as well just put this out there. We here at Bringing Humanity Together are basically so far and wide, it's not even funny. We have Sandy in Vancouver, British Columbia. You're in Atlanta, Carla. Mine is in in South Florida. I'm in Central Florida here in Lakeland. See, the technology can be used for a purpose that can bring people together, even though that we're far apart. And see, that distance shouldn't matter. It's what you can do within the scope of what's been there for you to do those kind of things. And the technology can, it's a twofold dynamic. It can work for you, or you can allow it to destroy you. It's just again about which path that you choose, because it is the choice that is the ultimate path to freedom. And I believe that that technology is there for us to share and to uplift it and really embrace humanity for what it is. And we are embracing that here, bringing humanity together. We really are, because see, we see that value that far supersedes the environment that other people say that it probably won't work, because we've already seen it done now already. The hybrid work environment started to come to pass. It is there. And if you give people an option and give people a choice to do things, they'll be more and ready to do things for you, not only from a customer perspective. Well, what is that, Brian?
We're going down a very dangerous path with the amount of digitization of everything.
True.
That there's going to come a time in the next generation, maybe earlier, maybe later, where we're going to have a catastrophe on the world where you're not going to be able to access stuff digitally. And the world's going to cease to continue to move. I mean, people freaked out the other day because they couldn't access their Facebook account for like a day. Zuckerberg lost $6 billion. It's, you know, whatever. Anyway, but the point is, we're so reliant on technology, and if it's all going to be hybridization and it's going to be working remotely, I don't know if we're prepared for what the consequences of that could be. And I'm not saying that it's going to be tomorrow or the next day. I'm just saying that, you know, we're so reliant on checking our email and making sure we communicate with people and going on Zoom or FaceTiming or sending emails back and forth. I don't know if we're prepared to have an adequate backup system to actually continue work without that type of stuff. I mean,
well, look what happens when you have
school anymore.
Look what happens when you have bad weather, whether it be a snowstorm in the north, it's a hurricane down in Florida. We have storms here. When I was growing up, we used to go a week or so without any power.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just that the technology needs to be managed; it has to be secured properly. I mean, Chris, put it this way: we're here. Human beings are on this earth completely by random. Like, it's pure luck that we're here. If you go back 65 million years ago, when a meteorite or whatever it was hit the earth and the dinosaurs ended up becoming extinct, and it gave rise to mammals and so forth, if that doesn't happen, we're not here. My point is, our earth passes through a meteor field twice a year. Something's going to happen in the next generation or two, because that's what the cosmos does, because the cosmos doesn't actually care about us or anything that we do, that we're not like the epitome of what's happening. I just think that we're very short-sighted with how we look at work and the meaning behind it, how important all this is, that I don't think we take proper precautions. It's just going to be fascinating, because look, I'm as reliant as anyone on email and technology and talking. But Chris, if we don't get together and we're reliant on communicating through Zoom once a week,
usually turn it off.
What happens when we don't have internet access?
Yeah, I think that's a good point that would bring me to one of my call to actions, is to make sure you have choices. And you bring up a great point, Brian, that we have to.
It's on in the kitchen. You can't hear it.
I can't stop.
lessen our dependence upon technology, because I mean, the other day was it was Facebook and Instagram. So what? They're social media platforms, but we're talking. What about electricity or all these other things? You just never know what's going to happen, and we've got to have backup plans. Do you remember Y2K? Everyone thought the world was going to come to the end. I worked in an OR, and we had to list every friggin' piece of equipment that we had. You know, the only thing that didn't work the following morning was the coffee maker, and it didn't even have a timer on it.
Yeah,
Right.
that was
do all that for that, you know. But we have to stop.
Wasn't Y2K
This is
based
like
on the
Y2K
erroneous?
all over again.
Wasn't Y2K based on the erroneous belief that the Mayan calendar, which wasn't really the Mayans actually didn't
Oh, I don't
invent
know.
that calendar.
I was young and impressionable.
Yeah, I
back
think it
then.
was, Ryan. I think it was.
That was 20
Yeah, but
years
actually, that calendar actually predates the Mayans. The Mayans actually inherited that calendar that they used. But Carla, speaking of, you drive your car. What happens if something happens electrostatically in the environment? You can't drive your car.
Oh, right. Well, now no one could take care of their cars anymore because it's all electronic based. You know, my husband says you can't even change your oil in it. You know, and the conspiracy people talk about how are they going to monitor your mileage to tax you? And I'm like, well, what makes you think they're not doing it already? You know, but that's a whole nother conversation. But everything is so technologically based that nobody can take care of themselves. They can't.
When was the last time you actually saw your checking account?
A lot of people can't even get out
it's just numbers on a screen.
If the my son, Mr. IT guy, has got the Ring doorbell and all that kind of stuff. The power went off and he couldn't get in the house.
Oh no, Carla.
Wow. So what's your call to action, Miss Sandy?
Well, I think that we need to pay attention to what's going on, Chris. And I think that I agree that, we have been relying on technology, and I think we will be relying on it more and more. But Carla's right. If we have a storm or we have some other issue where we have no electricity, then nothing friggin' works. And, like I have a freezer in my garage, and they were doing some work on the power here. They were upgrading it. And I just knew, you don't open the freezer, you just leave it alone, for a day or so. And it's just a matter of what do you do? And we're so reliant on the technology for everything that it's, you almost need to have a generator somewhere so that you can, run your own power if something happens. And maybe down the road, that's something that people will have to have at their houses. They'll have to have their own.
A lot of people do, especially down in Florida.
Yeah. So, it's well, you guys have a lot of storms. You see, here in Vancouver, we don't.
Well, what if the power goes out and you can't charge your cell phone and you don't have a regular phone in your house and you can't use that either? How would you get in touch with them?
Well, I have one phone that isn't electrical. I have one. It's just a regular phone. The other ones are all electrical, and if the power goes out, they don't work either.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Yeah. So it's a matter of, what are you doing? And I think that it's probably not great that we're actually heading in that direction, but I don't think you can stop it. I think it's just, the way it is. And it's, the future generations are just going to have to deal with that because it is what it is. There are certain advantages. I mean, in this pandemic, in particular, if we didn't have the technology that we have, it would be very hard to be doing a lot of things that we do. Because, for example, I've told you guys this, my grandsons live in Toronto. We haven't seen them for almost 2 years, but we Skype with them every week. So at least I can have a face-to-face conversation with them and, whatever. And also with other friends that we have. I mean, you stay in touch by email and by phone and by these kinds of things. And if we didn't have it, it would be harder to be in touch with people. Mm-hmm. And, human beings are very social creatures. If we can't, socialize, it's very hard on us. It really is. And so it's very important to have some of this technology today so that we can be in touch with our family and our friends and so on and so forth. There's a huge advantage to having it.
Well, look at what we're doing here. If it weren't for technology, we wouldn't have us from all over the country, and Graham in the UK, and Shara in the UK, and all
Exactly.
these from all these different countries.
Couldn't
You
do
know.
it, Carla. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So
If it weren't for the internet, I wouldn't be doing Zoom calls with Europe.
well, I told you I did a workshop in Australia for
Mhm.
one of my clients because they had a branch there.
Yeah.
And I said to them, "You could send me to Australia." And they said, "No, you're going to do it. You're going to do it electronically." I went, "Okay."
Yeah.
So, and the platform that I used, I said to them, I said, "I have to see them, they have to see me, and we've got to be able to talk." So they had a technology, a platform, and that was how I did it. So it was live. It wasn't like a webinar.
Right.
Right.
I could see them, they could see me, they could see the PowerPoint, and it all worked out. It was interesting and it was fun, and they put me in touch with the HR manager, so I sent her the information so that she could put together some of the exercises, because I couldn't be there. So I sent her the information so that she could physically set it up, and it worked. I mean, it worked just fine. But again, I'm in Vancouver. This was in Australia. The time difference is huge. And so, we had to set it up in a way that I could work it from here. But it's just, you can do those things. And it's because we have this technology today that we can do these things.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. So Brian, what will be
right?
Yeah. So Brian, what will be your call to action today, sir?
Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know if people are really prepared for where this might go in the next 5, 10, 15 years. It all sounds nice now, but I don't know if the ramifications of what's going to happen, if it's going to end up being better or worse or indifferent for us. I don't have the answer. I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for. With
Yeah, absolutely. That's very insightful.
What's your call to action, Chris?
Well, my call to action is simply this: give people the choices to choose their own path, their own destiny, their own way of being. And if you can do that and let them do that for them and themselves, whether it be from a client perspective or even from the partner perspective, and you're working in an organization, give people the freedom to choose their way, the best way that works for them in their own model of the world. Because again, I truly believe this, and I learned this from Brian. Choice is truly the ultimate path to freedom, and I truly believe that.
Yep. Fair enough.
It is.
All righty.
It is.
You guys have a great and awesome weekend and rest of your week. Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Brian, for joining in today. We really appreciate you. And we'll see you next week for Sharing Care with Sandy. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.